I won't call it strict, but I definitely have a ritual for morning and for evening that I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that they help me maintain my sanity. Because I remember before I had a morning ritual, I used to wake up and just feel this anxiety like my day was a speeding train heading straight for me. And I needed to, figure out how to dodge it and work around it. Now I start every morning with my brain turned off because I know exactly what I'm going to start doing. And it's not related to any appointments I have later on in the day or anything like that. It's literally just time for me. Time for you. That's really all self care is. And it doesn't have to be fancy, as we're going to talk about today on the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. For part one of the podcast, I'm going to talk with my good friend, Angela White-Randolph, about self-care and different ideas for self-care. She's not a self-care ritual person like me, but she wants to be, so it's a great conversation. And then in part two, we're going to talk about gift-giving strategies and ideas for the woman in your life, the mom in your life. All of that coming up on the podcast, starting now. Hello, good morning, everyone. Alegre here with Beyond Your Wildest Dreams. And my guest today is my good friend, Angela White-Randolph of AKWR Solutions. Hello, Angela. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Glad to be here. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have Angela. Angela is one of my best friends in the whole world. And if you've listened to my podcast for years, then you've heard her speak on it. I've had her on many times. And now I'm bringing back in more mom friends. And I'm so excited to have her. She actually lives in Indianapolis. So it's a nice excuse for us to catch up having her on the podcast. And Angela, just let me tell everyone a little bit about you. So Angela, after 25 years in corporate in the health sciences sector, she struck out on her own. And she is a community volunteer serving on multiple boards, but she also owns her own consulting business that does it does strategy, it does marketing, and Six Sigma consultant. Six Sigma, for those who don't know, is related to continuous improvement. I don't feel like I can explain it better than that. If you want to, you can explain it more than that.
That's good. That's good. Process improvement, efficiency.
Process improvement. Yes, continuous improvement. I love continuous improvement. She's a mom of 3, a wife, a sister, a daughter, a great friend. So happy to have her as my friend, Angela White-Randolph. Yay! I'm going to applaud for you because I know there should be.
I'll give it.
The audience goes wild. So for those of you who are joining me for the first time, I'm Allegra. My business is called Beyond Your Wildest Dreams. And along with my friend Natasha, who's not here today, who is often on the podcast, we wrote these 4 books, which are all workbooks. They take 45 minutes or less to go through. And really, our mission is about helping moms, working moms, prioritize themselves and their goals by harnessing the power of planning, which is why the podcast, you might be watching this live on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, but we also put it up as the Harness the Power of Planning podcast on all platforms. And that's why it's called Harness the Power of Planning, because I really believe that with planning, you can live a life beyond your wildest dreams. And Angela and some of my other friends who I've had on the podcast before, Christine, Kalika, of course, Natasha, we're all big fans of planning, which is why I love having them on, because we all approach it slightly differently, but we all recognize the value of it in our lives. What kind of planner would you consider yourself, Angela?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, like on the scale of, I don't know, scale of 1 to 10, or you can give it a title. I don't know, however you want to describe yourself.
Yeah. So if I said 1 to 10, if you caught me 20 years ago when we first met, I would say I was probably 9.5, 10. Super planned. And then, life happens. And
right.
You have kids, you have other responsibilities, and you have to sort of be able to adjust and you plan, but you sort of plan loosely.
Yes, it looks different.
It looks different. Yeah. So I would say if I was an absolute planner, I think I'm a laid back sort of girl now. So I give myself a 5 on a bad day, right? And I would say on a day that I'm just really rocking, about a 7.5, but I'm not the 10 that I used to be
But you
in
know
terms
what?
of
I
planning.
Okay, I'm just gonna disagree with you for a second here because I would say you're higher than a 7, 5 or 7 for sure. I would just say that you plan a little differently because you have
Okay.
other people who have a claim on your time, which
Yes, they're demanding.
exactly, and you have a child who's younger than my child even, so you're a little bit more in the thick of it in terms of needing to have flexibility so you can show up for your kiddo. So
I would agree with that. I'm just thinking about the times that we've been on vacation together or you visited, and every single moment was literally booked.
well,
And
I
I
had
didn't have to
things
plan.
I wanted to do, that's all. This is
I
a
didn't
short
have to plan
amount of
anything.
time.
Right. I had to plan nothing. I was just like, where's the list? Let me just go do what she said. Right. So,
Okay, so you're not my level of planning,
no way.
right? I guess that's
No,
why I have the planning business.
that's
Uh,
right.
Actually, it's funny because I saw Angela most recently in April. We traveled out to Indianapolis to watch the total eclipse because it was in the path of totality. And so I forget when I started the spreadsheet on that. Was it December? Maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
December-ish?
It was, I think it was around December, maybe November, Thanksgiving time frame. You started the spreadsheet for our
Yeah, so
activities.
6 months before, right? 5 months before. So
Yes.
so Angela and I have this shared spreadsheet. Really, I'm the one doing the spreadsheet stuff. She's just kind of seeing it. And then there are other people who traveled to Indianapolis as well, and we didn't let them in on the spreadsheet yet because there was just no point, right? It was just like me
Right.
kind of brainstorming how I wanted the days to look or whatever. And the coolest thing when it came to April and everything happened, the coolest thing was Angela saying to me, "You introduced me to places I've never been to, and I live in this city." And, that's just like how deep I like to go with my research. Like, if I'm only gonna be somewhere a short period of time, I wanna I wanna think about where I wanna go. I wanna use my time strategically. And oh my gosh, we ate at one of the best restaurants I've ever eaten at in my entire life.
Oh
And you've
yeah.
gone back, right,
We
since
went
then?
back. We went back for my birthday too. We went back for my birthday. And I think, did we go back for red?
You went back, I think,
No.
for your anniversary as well, you told
Yes,
me.
we went back for our anniversary and my birthday. Yeah. So we just sort of camped out there for a bit. Yeah.
That's how good it was.
I need to rotate that back into
Oh,
to
so good.
rotation.
If I was living there, I would definitely make it like a quarterly, especially because the menu changed seasonally, right? So,
Y- Yes.
what's the
So
name of the
yummy.
restaurant? Just so we're not leaving people hanging if they're in the Indianapolis area.
Yeah. Are you really asking me? It's your
Okay.
spreadsheet. It's
Okay, well, I can't pull up this spreadsheet right now, so I'll have to put
You'll
it in
come
the
back
show
to it.
notes. So come
Right.
back to it in the show notes. It was amazing though. Amazing. So today, as you know, I always have 2 topics during the podcast. The first part today, we're going to talk about self-care as healthcare, especially as the holidays approach. It can be easy to put self-care on the back burner, or if you're feeling stressed because of current events, you might be feeling the need for extra self-care. So that's why I wanted to talk about that today. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to talk about gift ideas for the women in your life because planning makes everything easier, as I always say, and gift giving doesn't have to be stressful if you start early enough. So we're giving you ideas now, mid-November. You have plenty of time. You're not going to have to pay for express shipping. I always tell my husband, "Honey, I would rather not get a gift than see a charge for a gift 2 days before you're giving it to me, and I know that half of that price was express shipping." Like, it just makes me so
I'm
mad.
with you. I'm with you.
It's such a waste of money that I'm like, just wait, have
Like
it
wait a
delivered
day.
normally, give it to me
Right.
after the fact. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Do not
You
pay
can
for
do that with
overnight shipping.
adults, but with children and Santa Claus or whoever comes to visit your house, you
Yeah.
sort of have to pay. You wait, you pay. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I've actually finished my shopping for my kiddo personally.
of
So,
course you have.
I'm just waiting for the last thing to arrive. And it's funny because people ask me, like, "How do you buy things so far in advance and not forget where you put them?" Well, for one thing, I have a designated place where I put gifts. If I don't put them there, like, actually, I had a ring, amber ring that I gave to Natasha for her birthday recently, and it was
Mhm.
so funny because I had purchased it, I purchased it when I saw it, and I was like,
Right.
"Oh, that reminds me of Natasha, I'll give it to her, she's turning 50 this year, it's a big one," and so I put in
Mhm.
my planner Natasha's gift in this drawer in this bureau, where I never put gifts usually, but I guess, it felt safer there for whatever reason. And so when I turned the planner to October and I saw Natasha's birthday, I was like, "Oh, I already have a gift for her. Okay. I don't even remember what it is, but at least I know where it is. That's great." So those are my 2 tips. One, I have a designated gift area for most things, but I guess because it was small, I wanted it to be in a more
Mhm.
secure area. And so just leave yourself a note for your future self. Do yourself that gift. So, okay, so let's talk about self-care.
Okay,
What I
wait, I have
love
one thing.
Oh, yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Go
have one
ahead.
thing. So, yeah, that might work. So, another thing that I do, and I
Mm,
think you've probably been in on it or another one of my friends, is if I buy something early, because I have a small kid who goes rummaging, like looking for things, like
uh-huh.
where are the gifts that. So, I'll put it somewhere, I'll hide it really well, sometimes for myself. I will take a picture of
Mm,
where I put it. Great until she started like looking for pictures on my phone for like, just in general. Like,
right.
so now I'll send the picture to a friend and then tell them this is in the closet, left hand side. Here's a picture. I think I did that with the eclipse glasses, which wasn't a present, but I was trying to remember where I put them
Right.
when you came.
Mhm.
And so it works.
There you go. So
Phone a
there's so
friend.
many different ways you can have a system for that, right? You
Yeah.
could create an album. Maybe you don't call it gifts if your kid's always going through your photographs, but you can have an
Right.
album for where your gifts are. So
Right.
lots of ways to buy in advance, because sometimes you're out and about in the world and you see a gift and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's perfect for someone." Get it. You found it. Now you just have to remind yourself where it is. Okay. So, self-care. So I love having Angela on this topic because she actually said that she's not good at self-care, which is perfect because I love hearing about people's challenges with self-care. So, uh, for me, let me just tell a little bit about my self-care routine. I have a very I won't call it strict, but I definitely have a ritual for morning and for evening that I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that they help me maintain my sanity. Because I remember before I had a morning ritual, I used to wake up and just feel this anxiety like my day was a speeding train heading straight for me. And I needed to, figure out how to dodge it and work around it. Now I start every morning with my brain turned off because I know exactly what I'm gonna start doing, and it's not related to any appointments I have later on in the day or anything like that. It's literally just time for me, and it includes maybe some obvious things like skincare, but it also includes less obvious things such as I like to put up everything that's in the drying rack first thing in the morning because I just get that moment. So I do it for 2 reasons. 1, I get that moment of like, "Oh, there's no dishes. Yay, that's so exciting." And then 2, I do it for health reasons because if I don't clear the dish rack, then people will start putting newly washed dishes on top of already clean dishes, and then, the food scientist in me is like, "No, that's not clean. That is clean." So, it does those 2 things for me. So, I have this whole self-care ritual. It takes about an hour. I used to just do it first thing in the morning all the way through 1 hour, but now it's a little challenging because I have to drop my kiddo off at school. So it's kinda split up into 2 parts. But
Mhm.
that's my morning ritual. So, do you have a morning ritual, Angela?
Oh, I agree. Yeah, when we're on vacation together, I follow your routine and everything out, wonderfully. No, I would say, no, I mean, I know what I have to do. But it does start with, oh heck, we gotta get the kid out the door to school, right? So that's the first thing. Or it's, oh, I gotta get up. So even if you don't have a ritual, there is a ritual. There are
Yes.
things that their behaviors and patterns that you fall into, right? So that's your ritual, default or not, good or bad. So
Yes.
you can be mindful of that. You taught me that.
Yes. I'm like, "You
And
have
so
one, it's just not serving you." And we talked
yeah,
about
it's
this
not
in the
we
book Rock
did.
Your Morning.
We did. And in fact, um, interestingly enough, I think I spent like 10 days with you. We were on a different vacation and we
Mhm,
spent about 10
mhm.
days together. And I took maybe the last 4 days of that, I sort of picked up some tips from you from the book as I read it when we were there, and then brought it home. And then after bringing sort of the ritual home, I started doing it morning and night. And actually, it was very soothing. It probably lasted a good 3 or 4 months. And then somewhere summer hit and I sort of got off, you know, just lost it. But
Right,
it
it
was
just
the,
wasn't you lost the
yeah,
habit.
yeah, I lost the habit. But literally, it was getting up. It was a skincare routine. It was, okay, now I'm going to go downstairs and make a cup of coffee, whether you believe that's good or bad, coffee or tea,
Mhm.
whatever, have that drink, just cool, just center yourself for a moment and then engage my daughter to get up and get ready, get me ready, then get her hair done, and then get downstairs. And so I was getting into the car in the morning thinking, and it was so nice. Like you feel like you're not rushing. Like we would
Right.
be out the door by like 8:10, and we
Mhm.
would be at school and you go in and just a different feel.
It's
Um,
just it sets the tone for the day.
it does. And you feel like you are in charge of your day
Mhm.
rather than your day taking charge of you.
Absolutely.
Um, so, lately I haven't been doing that very well. However, the one thing that I have tried to do, it's usually at noon my time, which of course we're in the middle of it right now, so I set it to the side. But at noon, there's a podcast that I listen to and go out and walk to it because it's Girl Trek and it's
Mm.
hundreds of women, probably thousands around the entire world walking and listening
Oh,
together. And
cool.
so it's sort of like you're communal, but I'm typically by myself because I'm walking the neighborhood, but you are in a group of people moving. And so I try to use that to recapture when I lose
Yeah.
it in the morning. And that seems to help. And the idea of washing the day away, I don't know if you use those words with me
Mhm.
when we were on our vacation, but at the end of the night, like looking forward to going upstairs. And so as soon as you start putting the cleanser on, you're like, oh, this is the end of my day. Like
Mhm.
I can now settle, right? This is the end of it. And so I latched onto it. I liked it. I'm not keeping it up, but we'll get there.
So when you were doing it more regularly, so we
Mhm.
last went on that big vacation was almost 2 years ago, right?
Right.
And you said you were doing it regularly for about 4 months. Were you
Yes.
tracking it during those 4 months? Like, with a habit
Um,
tracker or anything like that?
n- no, no. I
So
was literally just doing it.
okay, so I highly recommend the habit tracker. So there's the QR code for anyone who's interested in the book,
Oh,
Rock Your
okay.
Morning. If you're listening to the podcast, it's in the show notes. And we have a habit tracker in the back of the book to help keep you on track. A habit tracker is just what it
Oh,
sounds like.
yeah.
It's a way to just check off or put a happy face or a star, or I like to put a little heart on my habit trackers, or you can use stickers, whatever.
Mhm.
And it's just a way to acknowledge what you did and make it kind of a little win, a little celebration. Like, yay, I did the thing that I said I was going to do. I tell people all the time there's two parts to planning, there's coming up with the plan, and then there's doing the plan,
Mhm.
right? Most people don't even make the plan, but even fewer people actually execute. And, some of the brain science behind that says that we get so much satisfaction out of making the plan that it can actually kind of keep you from doing it because you're like, oh, I already did something by coming up with the plan. Okay. Well, yes, you did. Good. Good job. However, if you want the actual benefits, you're gonna have to actually do the plan, and so that's what is great about habit trackers. And if you are the sort of person who is motivated by rewards, then you can also reward yourself. Let's say you do your morning ritual for 1 month. Maybe you get yourself a pair of socks, or you get a month of class pass, or you get a massage, whatever motivates you to do something is good. It could just take yourself out for lunch. Set that up for yourself, and it'll help make it more fun because the more fun you make it, the more your brain craves it. It's like, "Oh, yeah, I like this thing that we're doing. This is cool." And then it
So,
becomes self-sustaining.
okay, so you want me to gamify
Gamify, exactly. Yes.
my planning and then be rewarded by the serotonin and norepinephrine release that I get when I've accomplished it.
See, this is the great thing about hanging out with a health sciences person is she can remember all the chemical names. Yes, exactly, exactly, and the dopamine, right?
And the
Lots of
dopamine.
dopamine. S
Exactly.
so, yes, I want you
All
to
the
do that,
yeah, right.
and look, for me, I like having my habit tracker in my planner. My planner has a built-in habit tracker, and this is the planner I like to use for anyone who, is interested. It has built-in habit trackers on the weekly pages, but you can also make your own with just a Post-it note and just write the days and just check, 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 whatever works for you. Natasha likes the Post-it notes front and center somewhere that she can see it, like she actually has them like in front of her coffee, by her supplements, on her mirror. I prefer habit tracking in my planner, whatever you prefer. But yeah, gamify it, make it fun. And then eventually the ritual itself will be its own reward. Like, at this point, it just makes me feel so good. It's really my morning ritual, my evening ritual, really like the bookends of the day. It's like I literally if all the appointments and everything I have to do are the pages in between, I do not turn to those pages until I open the cover by doing my morning ritual,
Mhm.
and then I give myself permission to turn my brain off when I, do that closing cover with the evening ritual. I'm like, I don't answer phones, I do not answer texts, I do not do anything mental. It is all about preparing for a good night of sleep, which is so, so important, especially in terms of self-care because,
Oh gosh.
did you read the XX Brain? I know I put that in our chat.
Yeah, you did. I did
Angela and
not.
I have a permanent chat with some other girlfriends of ours,
Yeah.
and it's called the Clitorati. I know, it's a good name. Feel free to use that name for your girl chat as well. And so I know I put the XX Brain in the Clitorati.
You did.
And the XX Brain is this book that explains that there's a high correlation between hormonal changes and cognitive decline in women, which is part of why women outnumber men with as Alzheimer's patients 2 to 1. So highly recommend the XX Brain, and it has changed how my sleep patterns. I had this goal of going to bed at 10 p.m., which always ended up with me going to bed at 11 p.m.
Right.
However, since reading the XX Brain and learning that so your brain is secretes chemicals, whatever, all day long, but at night, it's secreting chemicals that help you clean and repair your brain and chemicals that help you store and process learning and memories. And what I learned actually, this wasn't in XX Brain, it was something else, but
Mm-mm.
I had already read XX Brain, so I knew I need to prioritize sleep. And then I learned this fact, and I was like, oh man. And what this person explained was that the cleaning and repairing chemicals are released mostly before midnight,
Right.
whereas the storing and recording chemicals are released after midnight. And, if you don't do enough cleaning and repairing, the storing and recording is not going to be optimal because it's kind of like your hard drive doesn't have space, right? When I heard that, I was like, okay, I'm going to bed earlier for sure. And I've been going to bed pretty regularly at 9 p.m., which is a huge change for me.
That
But I
is.
huge change, huge change. But I do feel like I'm thinking clearer.
And your sleep hygiene? Did you change that your practices
Well,
around sleep hygiene?
I already
Well,
had good
you
sleep
already had
hygiene.
good, yeah, I was gonna say, you're right.
Yeah.
I know how you sleep, you're right.
Yeah, so the only thing that was changing was what time, and it does
Mhm.
feel radically different. And it feels so good that my body really craves going to bed at 9 p.m. because it's seeking out how good that feels in the morning. So that's been a big change for me this year, and yeah, grateful for that. So sleep is probably the most important self-care you can do. And I like to tell people your morning ritual sets the tone for the day. Your evening ritual is all about getting a good night's sleep. That's really its only purpose. So, yeah, it's been great. How's your sleep hygiene?
It's was better previously. So I'm at that point in life where you get hot a lot.
Hormonal changes.
Exactly. Yeah. So once I got sort of that under control, I feel like I'm getting back to that normal sleep regimen and just being able to wake up refreshed. Because for the longest, like it's amazing how when you wake up over and over and over in the night,
Mhm.
and you think you're getting a good night's sleep because, oh, I've been asleep for 8 hours or 7.5 hours, and you wake up exhausted, and which sets the tone for a pretty horrible day.
Yeah.
And just it's just hard. And so now that even if I don't get to sleep till later, although I've been trying to get to sleep earlier, I'm just trying to help my daughter understand too that sleeping earlier, we've got such a wide range of ages in the household from a kid's perspective that, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, pretty much male adult does not have the same sleep habits as your
No.
9-year-old should have. And so helping her, really understand that and get that is helping me say, okay, the importance of sleep, she needs to see that in me
Yeah.
and the difference that it makes so that then she can model it as well. So, if I could go to bed at 8:30, I would. I mean, I would sign up for it every day,
Mhm.
all day.
You
But
you've always really prioritized sleep.
oh, I love sleep. I love
Yeah.
sleep. That's why
I
when
mean,
like
even in our 20s when we met, you
I
were
love sleep.
already like, "I love sleep." In fact,
Sleep.
I Angela and I, we would go out because she wanted to be social and she wanted to be a part of people going out, and she would fall
Right.
asleep while we were out.
Totally.
It was
Totally.
pretty amazing. By the way,
Yeah.
for people who don't know this term sleep hygiene, it's actually a term that was developed in the '70s as a way to help people who suffer from insomnia develop a good practices before sleep that would help set them up for sleep. So it can be things like turning off blue anything with a blue light because that
Mhm.
just keeps you awake. It stimulates uh the melatonin. It inhibits the melatonin production, right, when
Mhm.
you're exposed to blue light, which keeps you awake. It can be not reading stimulating literature at night or
Right.
not watching stimulating shows on television, which also all of our devices, a lot, some of the more modern ones, you can turn off the blue light, but most of our devices emit blue light. It can also be things like having a calming beverage or taking a bath or engaging in some meditation or self massage, whatever you need to set you up for a good night of sleep. That's what sleep hygiene is. And then once you know what you need, adhering to it is
Mhm.
having good sleep hygiene. So, like, one of the most important things for good sleep hygiene is a regular bedtime.
Mhm.
So, if you're going to
Yeah.
bed different times every night, that's not good sleep hygiene.
Right. And temperature, right? So regulating the temperature. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
Colder
and
is better.
right, colder is better. But yeah, for those who folks might not all sort of be on the same schedule in terms of when their sleep happens, but you can
Mhm.
have, you know, good sleep hygiene even if you work a different shift, right? Because not
Yes.
everybody's going to bed at night. I mean, it's just they make it a little harder in terms of exposure to sun and sunlight and all those kinds of things.
Okay,
I didn't
well,
want to
that
leave
was
anybody out.
yes, no, and we all have different chronotypes, right? There are some people
Exactly.
who your chemicals are waking you up later and keeping you up later. In fact, if you wanna figure out what chronotype you are, go to, thesleepdoctor.com or type in, like, chronotype quiz. It's very interesting. But, yeah, there you probably intuit what a good time for bed is and a good time for waking is. Do what feels good for you, but once you figure that out, once you figure out what your morning ritual should be, what your evening ritual should be, stick with it because it makes a huge difference. I I totally credit mine with not just my sanity, but also my happiness. It makes me happy. And here's one thing I'll say. One of the most surprising things to me about my morning and evening rituals is how much quieter it makes my brain
Oh, yeah.
because when there's something you wanna do, but you haven't done it, and it's kind of like a little alarm going off in the back of your head, like, "You didn't take your vitamins. You didn't take your vitamins. You didn't drink enough water. You didn't" whatever. It closes all of those, let's call them, like, open windows in your head. It closes all those open windows, and it really allows you to just concentrate on your day. So, that's been one of the most surprising unintended benefits of good morning and evening rituals. Okay, thank you for that. We're switching to topic number 2, which is gifts for the women in your lives or gifts for anyone in general. Now, I will say, I just have to start this with the fact that
Mhm.
I know I have a bias about gifts, which is that I like functional gifts. I'm a very functional gift person. So, this might be a little more functional gift heavy than you yourself feel the need for, but there you are. So, Angela, what is there a gift you're looking for this holiday season that you'd really like to receive? Real or
Really
imagined?
good
Like the gift you
question.
wish existed?
Yeah. So I would it doesn't exist, right? So I would like someone to come in and plan,
Mm.
completely organize. I mean, yeah, Alegre. Completely organize the renovation of our house from top to bottom.
So is that
Yeah.
something that's happening imminently?
I don't know if we'll do the whole thing, but we've got some things going on that we want to get done. But yeah, I'd rather just like farm that out, but probably not. We'll see about that one. But in real life, what would I really want? That someone could actually do. So
But
did
you
you?
could have that. You could find a
I
designer or
could.
architect who could at least consult. Maybe they don't do the whole thing, but they could help you think about the
Sure.
the organization of it all. Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's one thing. The other thing are these filters for wine that take out the tannins. That's really the idea. So a filter for wine that for a cup of wine, it's as well as for a decanter. Yeah, those would
Oh,
be
so
really cool.
and it filters out the
Tannins,
tannins?
yeah, it does. It does.
And so what is that so are the tannins responsible for kind of like the headache?
Yeah,
But
exactly. All that in the morning.
the sulfites are the things that make me have difficulty
Yes,
breathing.
yeah, histamine receptors. That's right.
The what the
Your
histamine.
your histamine.
Histamine. Okay.
Yes.
So it'll filter out the tannins, but not the sulfates.
I have no idea because the sulfites don't bother me. I've never checked
Oh.
that out. Yeah, sorry.
Well, it's
I I
interesting
I
because
mean, I don't know.
I have
But
experience
if
with organic wine. They
how
tend
is
to not
that for
have
you?
sulfites. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Oh, okay. Well, then we can
So,
enjoy a glass of wine together because we typically don't get to enjoy wine
yeah.
together.
Yeah, I'm typically drinking something else or not drinking at
Right,
all,
right.
which I'm totally fine with. Okay, great. That sounds like a really great gift. Is do these filters have a name or where are you getting these filters so people know how to
Yeah,
find
I've
them?
never well, of course you can just ask that question. No, I have no idea. I sent it to a girlfriend of mine because
Uh-huh.
I thought, "Hey, these are great for you." So I have to look it up and send it back to you. I don't keep all this stuff in my back
Okay, so I'll
right.
put
I
it
don't
in the
get enough
show
sleep.
notes.
Yeah, I don't get enough sleep to record all this.
Okay, so I'll put in the show notes, and also, if you sign up at my website, bywdreams.com for the newsletter, then you'll get all of the links that of the things that we're talking about today, including my book and the planner and this really cool sounding filter. So I have sort of I always feel like a great go-to gift is if you've discovered something local to you that is food related. I always feel like that's a really fun, like, stocking stuffer gift for the people in your family who like, for instance, my mom, my mother-in-law, they're like, "You know what? I don't really want any gift, but if I give them some chocolates or some jam or some cookies from some cool place that is new that they've never heard of before, they're super excited about it." So, I always feel like that's a great gift. Or if you've traveled somewhere recently and you discovered like, what in Indianapolis is like a go-to food product?
Oh, well, I'm going to Hawaii. Sorry. What I would want Lilacoa butter.
Okay,
Yes.
so if I'm in Hawaii, I know I need to bring Angela back some Lilikoi butter, but yeah, absolutely, I would bring Lilikoi butter for a bunch of people because that's if I'm there, right? That's just like a fun gift. So,
Or have it
if
shipped.
if you're traveling, yeah, have it shipped, exactly. So, if you're traveling or if you have a local farmer's market, this is a great place to find gifts for people in your life because everyone enjoys a yummy treat. So that's one of my tips for gift giving. Another tip is anything that's sort of like I love health related gifts. And so a couple of gifts that I think are really great are, and I'm going to put, let me see, I think I can put this link here. Okay. So I actually consolidated a list of like 12 or 13 things that I really love that I think make great gifts. And one of them, are these slippers made out of rocks. I know that doesn't sound great. Okay, this is
Oh,
not
you
gonna
mean the
be
ones that you
helpful.
have with the they're wooden with the marbles on them? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. They hurt like hell, but they make your feet feel so good after you learn to walk in them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here, I'm gonna create this little QR code. It's called Gift Ideas, and so there are these sandals, they're wooden sandals, and they have pebbles embedded in them, real pebbles, and they feel so amazing. Well, if you're into acupressure or reflexology, you know that your foot has all these things that benefit the other parts of the body. However, these shoes totally helped me when I got really serious plantar fasciitis because, they want you to roll out that fascia using whatever, balls or stretching exercises.
Mhm.
But finding 10 or 15 minutes to just exercise my plantar fasciitis, I was like, "No, I'm just gonna walk around in these shoes." And that helped take care of it so quickly. They hurt like heck when you start them, but for me, it really helped with the symptoms of plantar fasciitis. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one at work. I don't play one on TV, but this really that was my experience, if you will. So, another thing that is kind of painful but amazing is this acupressure mat that I call the bed of nails. I don't know if you've
I've
seen this one. Have you?
I've laid on it.
Okay, at
Um,
my house. So so it has these little plastic needles
They're
kind of
needles.
things,
Yeah.
pokey things, and I remember the first time I laid down on this, it was like, "Why am I doing this? Oh my god, I really wanna get off this thing." Like, I had to, like, breathe and, like, it'll be okay, it's gonna release, everything's gonna feel a lot better in just a few minutes, just stay with it, and now I fall asleep on it. And let me tell you, it is the best sleep I get, sleeping on that mat. I don't know what it does, but, you know, when you're in pain, it creates this chemical response in your body to release pain relievers, natural pain relievers. And whenever I wake up, if I'm tired or grumpy or whatever, I take a nap on that thing. I feel so good. And so if you scan that QR code in the top right, gift ideas, this mat, those shoes are on that list. And hey, order them now and then you won't have to pay for overnight shipping because save your money and spend it on something else. You have plenty of time. Um,
Have plenty of time to torture
yeah,
yourself
you can torture yourself with something else.
and your friends. And your
I know. All my friends, I'm like, "You have to try this. You have to try this." Uh,
No, but I know I do. That those both of those are really good. I have had the experience of engaging with them when I'm with you.
Another couple things that are on the list that I'm just gonna mention, one is this product called Leather Honey, which honestly and actually right now it's 40% off. So, get it now. Leather Honey, I have never used a leather conditioner that doesn't leave things oily and greasy. This truly
Mhm.
I don't know what is in it. It's amazing. Get it. And you know what would be an amazing gift for someone that you love is not just buying the leather honey, but conditioning their leather for them. What a great gift. And
Oh,
Yeah. Maybe
yes.
consider this, like, mention it to a kiddo, like, "Hey, if I buy this, maybe you wanna help mom out by doing her things." I My daughter was always very aware of the fact that she wanted to give us gifts, and she was always very creative at coming up with ideas, but this is a great way for a kiddo to give a gift and to realize that not all gifts have to be things, gifts can be time as well. So that's another one, and then the last one I wanna mention is this great light bulb that is solar powered. So our family goes camping a lot, and for years we had those camping lanterns that they always sell, it's just like the traditional
Mhm.
Coleman lantern, and I swear to God, the life cycle on those things was just not very good, and most of the time, back when I was still buying them, they needed those giant batteries because they just suck so much energy. So whatever, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I saw these light bulbs they come with a little solar panel this big. How and the great thing about them is that so when we go camping, I'll just put them in the dashboard. They'll charge on the way out to the campsite, and then they pretty much last the whole time we're there. And so instead of a lantern, and it has a hook on it. So it's nice. So you can hook it like on the door of your car, inside your tent, there's always a hook right at the very top, you can hook it on there. You carry it with you like a flashlight. It's been the greatest thing, and I bought a dozen of them the first year I discovered them, and I gave them to everyone in my family because they're also just a great emergency preparedness gift. So, that's the 4th one that I wanna mention. How about is there anything that you're hoping your family gives you in terms of, I also love the gift of experiences, right? So, is there anything you're
Yes.
looking forward to in that department?
Not not in particularly. I mean, I just would like us to sort of to spend some quiet time together, with my son away at college, when in coming home. I think that's going to be fun to have him here. I'll probably have both my two of my god
Oh,
children,
right.
my
You're gonna have a full
goddaughter, my
house.
yeah, and my god. Yeah, we probably will. Yeah, at some point, like I don't know, it's going to be like Grand Central. People will be in and out, and you just sort of don't plan too
Right.
much, but plan, but plan to like to to host and be prepared for the unexpected.
And by the way, I just wanna mention something that when I did have at the top of the show, Angela and I were talking about when I went out to Indianapolis earlier this year. I think we were there for 10 days, and every other
Huh.
day was empty. So I plan in
Yes.
unscheduled time. I know people might be surprised by that. You actually might be surprised at how much unscheduled time I have in my daily schedule for those of you watching, because you might think like my day is chock a block. No, I leave lots of time for me to do nothing because I recognize the value of that. So every other day was unplanned, and we had some beautiful serendipitous moments happen because of that unplanned time, including
Right.
we actually did a little road trip.
We did. We did. And here I thought you were going to talk about dressing up like unicorns and
No, no,
running
that
through
was
the hundred
planned. Dressing as a
acres.
unicorn was planned.
Oh,
I did bring
oh,
the
okay.
unicorn onesie after all, so clearly it was planned.
Oh, oh yeah, you're right. You did. You did.
Yeah, but we fit in this amazing road trip to a place 2 hours away from where Angela lives that she'd never been to before, and it was a magical day,
Never.
and so
Mhm.
I am a big fan of planning for free time. So I think that's a great idea. You wanna have lots of free time when family is around. I I can tell
Yes.
you one thing that I am kind of putting into our stockings as a gift for our
Mhm,
family is,
mhm.
there's a historic building in Los Angeles. It used to be a department store, and in the bottom level is a restaurant where they do swing dancing, and it had kind of been in my mental
Fun.
list, but recently we went to the building for a walkthrough of the architecture, and that has motivated me now to prioritize this higher up, and so that's kind of a gift of experience that my husband and I are gonna be doing as a date night coming up, so I'm excited about that, looking forward to that.
Excellent. Take pictures. I want to see the dancing.
Yeah, 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 that'll be fun. The
Or video.
video, yes. Okay,
Yeah.
well, so thank you so much for being here today. A blast having you. I always love chatting with you, And Angela will be coming back for future episodes, and we have one planned. We're gonna do one in the new year around our birth stories. So that'll be really fun to hear all of my friends' birth stories. Hopefully more than one of my friends can. I might have to be multiple episodes just for time. But thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I love being here with you guys.
And thank you for watching. As always, if you want to listen to the audio only, this will go up as the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. I believe it'll be episode 80. So you can look tomorrow. It'll be on all platforms. And if you're watching the recording, feel free to comment. I do get notified when someone comments, and I'm happy to respond to your comments. And as always, dream wild dreamers. Bye. Thanks for joining us for the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen.